You ever catch yourself in love with someone who doesn't even technically know your last name? Like they're not even dating you, they're just vaguely acknowledging your existence in 3 to 5 business days. And suddenly you're mentally planning vacations and matching tattoos. They text you, what in doing, once every lunar cycle. And your whole nervous system goes, they love me. Why? Why does it feel like the less someone wants me, the more my brain is like, ah, yes, this is love. This is deep. This is the one. What is that? Is it trauma? Is it psychology? Is it just me being stupid? Let's talk about it. Today, we're diving into the spicy, sad science of why emotionally unavailable people feel so hot. Spoiler, it's not about them, it's about you, and it's about me. I'm Starboy Sam, and yes, I've emotionally spiral texted people who didn't even deserve my phone number. All right, let me introduce you to Luna, not her real name. But she definitely gave herself that name at Burning Man. She looked like she only drank things in jars, took Polaroids, played bass, had one of those voices that made you feel like everything she said was low-key prophetic. Her Instagram bio, just the word becoming. That's it. We meet at this rooftop poetry night. She's barefoot. I'm emotionally underdressed. We talk for hours about space, about love, about grief and growing up and capitalism and her dead grandma's vinyl collection. We had that click, that deep soul recognition type click. She looks me dead in the eye and goes, I think we're both healing in parallel timelines. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry this girl or cry about her for 6 months. No in between. Guess which one it was. Next few weeks, she never initiates. She sends me voice notes at 2:47 a.m. where she's whispering, I just wanted to hear your energy. I invite her to hang. She says, I'm in a hermit era. Can we just talk on the astral plane? And I'm like, yup. Soulmate behavior. My friends, they're like, dude, she's not interested. Me? No, no, she's just emotionally complex. She's a Scorpio moon. I started confusing mystery with depth, started interpreting avoidance as boundaries. And every little crumb she gave me felt like a 5-course meal. One miss you text would have me walking through walls. I'm cleaning my apartment, I'm making playlists, I'm smelling my wrist like a perfume commercial. She had me in a romantic chokehold with zero effort. Now, I'm not alone in this. Let's talk about my girl, Zara. Zara met this guy. Let's call him Thought Piece. He looked like an indie film, like if regret wore cologne. He told her he was poly, but mostly solo. Had a tattoo that said, detachment is divine. First few conversations? Fire. Talked about grief, dreams, gentrification. Said he didn't believe in time. You know the type. But then, nothing. No effort, no plans. Just random late-night DMs like, thinking about how our souls brushed past each other today. Zara would spiral. Not because he was consistent, but because he wasn't. And that's what got her. Because every time she was ready to walk away, he'd drop a crumb, a song recommendation, a deep quote, a blurry photo of the sky with, this reminded me of you, and her brain, literature upper. Here's what I call it. Crumb theory TM. It's when someone gives you just enough emotional calories to keep you from starving, but never enough to feel full. You're not dating. You're foraging. You're sitting under the table of someone who's feeding themselves and throwing scraps in your direction. And your brain, eating it up, because when the reward is random, it becomes addictive. This is intermittent reinforcement. Same system that makes slot machines work. Your brain gets a little hit randomly, and it says, let's keep pulling. Let's keep spinning. One more chance. It's not love, it's dopamine roulette. Why do we fall harder for people who give us less? Okay, so why does it happen? Why do we catch feelings harder for people who barely text back? Why do we become emotionally invested in people who treat us like a part-time vibe? Let me hit you with 3 brutal reasons that I've had to scream into my pillow about at 2 a.m. 1. Scarcity equals value, even when it shouldn't. Look, our brains are weird. Somewhere along the way, we got wired to believe that if something is hard to get, it must be worth it. Like, think about it. Diamonds, literally just pressurized carbon. Avocados, middle. Let's be real. But both are expensive because they're rare, and we apply that same flawed logic to people. Someone texts us back instantly, we're like, meh, they must be bored. But someone ignores us for 36 hours, then replies with a cryptic I. Suddenly, it's like they're mysterious, damaged, complex, a challenge. They're just emotionally underdeveloped with an inconsistent data plan. We confuse accessibility with boredom and distance with depth. We think, if they're this elusive, they must be valuable. But in reality, they're just unavailable. That's not value, it's absence. But our brains, they fall for it because scarcity is seductive. The less we get of them, the more we assume they must be special. You ever chase someone harder just because they started pulling away? Yeah, that's your brain tricking you. It's trying to turn pain into meaning. It's trying to justify the lack of attention by calling it mystique. But guess what? Mystique is not the same as maturity. You're not dating a philosopher. You're dating a text bubble that only appears when Mercury's in retrograde. 2. Projection Nation, aka you fell for the version you made up. Let's get real. Half the time, you're not even falling for them. You're falling for the version of them you've created in your head. You're building a character based on potential. You're filling in all the missing pieces with hope, imagination, and TikTok therapy language. They say, I'm not ready for anything serious, and you hear, but maybe if I love them enough, they'll change. You start thinking of them as the healed version of themselves. You give them credit for growth they haven't done. You give them emotional depth they've never shown. You give them commitment energy when they don't even commit to Spotify playlists. You're in a relationship with a fantasy, a version of them that exists only in the alternate timeline where they went to therapy in 2019 and stopped watching Jordan Peterson clips. Listen to me. You're not dating a person. You're dating potential. And potential is a scam. It's a trap that makes you wait. It convinces you to invest more into someone who's giving you less. And it keeps you stuck because you're not in love with who they are, you're in love with who they could be. But could be doesn't cuddle you. Could be doesn't show up for dinner. Could be doesn't give you security. You deserve someone who is ready, is present, and is capable, not someone who might be, maybe, possibly, someday. Third, Ego Olympics, the gold medal in pick-me energy. And then there's the real villain of the story, your ego. Sometimes it's not about the person at all. It's not about love. It's about being chosen by the person who doesn't choose anyone. It's about the challenge, the win, the validation. You tell yourself, if I can make them want me, this cold, emotionally distant, hard to impress person, then I must be special. I must be enough. It's not romance. It's a psychological competition you signed up for without even knowing. You want them to pick you, not because they're right for you, but because they're the hardest person to get. And if you can win them, then maybe you can finally stop doubting your worth. But here's the truth I had to slap myself into understanding. Love isn't something you earn by suffering. You don't have to convince someone to choose you. And if it feels like a game, you're probably not the player. You're the prize they forgot they were playing for. And even worse, sometimes they're not even playing. You're running laps in the Ego Olympics, and they're not even in the stadium. And listen, I know what you're thinking. But Sam, it's not all bad. Sometimes they do show they care. Sometimes they are really sweet. Yeah, that's the intermittent reinforcement again. They sprinkle in just enough attention to keep you hoping. You stay because of the potential you tasted once, not the reality you live in now. But love isn't supposed to feel like waiting for a slot machine to hit. You shouldn't be refreshing your messages like a stock ticker. praying for proof that they still care. You shouldn't be bleeding effort just to get basic affection. And you shouldn't be confusing inconsistency with passion. Here's the truth. Love isn't supposed to feel like gambling. It's supposed to feel like home. It's supposed to feel steady, safe, chosen, not chased. And for the longest time, I didn't get that. I kept chasing chaos because chaos was familiar. Chaos was exciting. Chaos looked like love because it felt like the pain I'd gotten used to. But when I met someone who actually showed up, I didn't know what to do with it. Because when you've been starving for years, a real meal tastes suspicious.